Africa Day. And every year we invite ambassadors from different African countries to join us and celebrate Africa Day. The purpose of this chamber, the object of this chamber is to involve themselves in a very, very active manner with African countries, because we, or at least I have a personal belief that the 21st century, maybe after because of your the land area, because of your mines, because of your minerals, because of your low population, hardworking people, I have no doubt about it that people will jump to Africa, though the process has started. But it is going to do. But why Mauritius is so important? I'll give you 2-3 figures, which is a baffling figure as far as the relationship between India is Mauritius is concerned. Now, the FDI, or let me put, let us put, don't put FDI, let me put it GDP. The GDP of Mauritius in 2024, sir, if I am wrong, you can correct me. Was to the extent of $12 billion, if I'm not correct. But can you ever imagine what would be an FDI of Mauritius to India? Just make a guess. Just make a guess. The total FDI between 2000 to 2024 to India, it has increased manifold in the last few years, was $171.84 billion, and of which the Mauritius constituted 25%. And it is the highest FDI comes from Mauritius, then it comes from Singapore, then it comes from USA, and then from Japan. So this is the business India has with Mauritius, and you will ask me why so? Why people are investing from Mauritius to India? That can be only one reason, that because I have very sound policies. In fact, today, this morning, I had gone to Indo-American Chamber of Commerce to listen to Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal. There was a special request from him that Mr. Khaitan must attend. So I had gone in the morning, and his thrust of, he's an economic advisor to the Prime Minister of India. And he said that you can only grow if there is a will, if there is a way, coupled with a sound policy. So Mauritius, which was basically a sugar growing or sugar producing country, became a financial hub. Apart from being a tourism hub, it became a financial hub. And I was just talking to His Excellency when he said that if you want to do business in other parts of Africa, it has to be through Mauritius. You have to come through Mauritius because banking system, banking channels, the safety. So whatever you may do with Africa, but the routing has to be through Mauritius. It is the safest country in Africa, if I may put it this way. It is the safest country in Africa. Apart from being the safest country in Africa, it is the only country in Africa where the Hinduism is practiced. Yes. The only country in Africa where the Hinduism is practiced. It is I would say, I've been to Mauritius. The moment you sit in the car, the song which you will hear is the Bollywood songs or Bihari songs. Bollywood songs or Bihari songs. They speak to you in Hindi. speak to you in, sir, the president of, I can also tell you, sir, the president of Mauritius was here last year. And we were fortunate that we were selected as the only chamber from Eastern India to felicitate the president of Mauritius, and we had an opportunity to felicitate the president of Mauritius when he was. And then I asked him that which place would you like to visit? You have come all the way to Calcutta, which is the most important place you would like to visit? And he told me that he would like to visit a place near Garden Reach. That place is still there. They have some monument kind of a thing from where the laborers from Calcutta went to Mauritius for the sugar plantation. So he was very keen to visit that particular, and as a president of Mauritius, I would like to see that my forefathers, he said my forefathers, came from, I don't know whether they came from here or not, but at least I will assume that they came from this particular point from Calcutta to Mauritius. So that is how the importance of Calcutta is as far as the Mauritius is concerned. And sir, the other thing which I was trying to read about your country was, it's a welfare state, free education, free health treatment to students, to senior citizens, to disabled. Free transportation to students. What I'm trying to say, it's a totally welfare state. They take care of their country. And very most important things are probably, I just took a note of it 2 days back, that in the first quarter of 2024, that is, sir, from April to June 2024, you had a GDP growth of 6.4% from your 4.9%. So there was a jump straight of over 2% as far as the GDP growth is concerned. And then there was a survey recently as to how the world conceives Mauritius. They said this is the only country in Africa which never had a coup. Bearing South Africa and one or two, this is the only country in Africa where there was no military coup. They just got independence in 1968, a vibrant democracy. People select their president, opposition comes and goes. So a very, very vibrant. And the other was, there was a survey which said that which is the freest country in the world. And you'll be surprised to know that Mauritius was ranked as number 19th among the freest country in the world. And these are all mind-boggling figures. When you read about Mauritius and you think what is it. So with sir, Mauritius was one country where we have the double taxation treaty, which is a very favorable treaty. But only, I think in March 2024, we had a new treaty which was called, I think it was amended, but it has not yet been ratified. To the best of my knowledge, it has not been ratified. But if my recollection is correct, then I think I just had a glance of that treaty. The tax range from different areas from 5 to 15%. It does not go beyond that. So the treaty is also very favorable, but it has still not been ratified. But sir, I can only assure you that this chamber is there for Africa. This chamber really wants to do business with Africa. And with Africa Desk, our intention is to engage more and more with African countries. We would like also to engage more and more with Mauritius, because we feel Mauritius will be the gateway for us to enter Africa. So sir, with these kind words, Again, a very, very warm welcome to Bharat Chamber of Commerce and a very, very warm thank you. And before I give you my thank you, I also want to thank Mrs. Dillam. Thank you for being in Calcutta, and I hope you enjoy your visit here. Though you had a very, you know how he came to Calcutta. He was in Sri Lanka. There was a maritime security agreement was going on. He was in Sri Lanka. I mean, I'm talking of the energy of this person. He was in Lanka. He landed in India or Chennai at 3.
I didn't get my luggage.
You didn't get your luggage. So he didn't get his luggage. He landed at 3 o'clock in the morning at Chennai. And from Chennai, he took a morning flight. And he came to Calcutta. So that's his commitment. That's the energy this person possesses. And apart from that, his love for Mr. Khandelwal also. Because he has a book launched today, and I never knew that he's a writer. And his subject is very interesting, karma. So probably he will, if he's a good friend of mine, he will present me a book, otherwise I'll buy one. And sir, with these words, again a very, very warm thank you, and very, very warm thank you for being with us. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, you have to say something? Sir, people would like to, if you have, people would like to.
It's okay, fine. It's okay, fine. So you can start, yeah. So, namaskar to everybody, distinguished guests. I think Mr. Khaitan has already done half of my job, which I need to deliver today. And I also greet him as president of the Bharat Chamber, which is, I understand, is the oldest, 125 years since its set up. Mr. Rajendra Khandelwal, managing director, and all the distinguished guests who are present, members of the chamber. And I could see some of the faces I know very well, Kapil, and I have met some of you. I don't know, I can't remember, but I have met you somewhere in Delhi, or either in Delhi or in other forum. So, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar again. Shubho Dupor. Keman Achan. Sab bhalo to? Bhalo, okay. So thank you very much, and I would like to thank the President for such a long and very clear expose that he gave on Mauritius. It is often said that when once you go to Mauritius, you are in love with Mauritius. And it is not their first visit, but becomes a regular visit to Mauritius. That's very good. Because Mark Twain once said, God was in trouble, and he had to create heaven. So he had no idea how to create heaven. So he made a tour of the world and landed up in Mauritius. And after that, he copied heaven from Mauritius. So this is the beauty of Mauritius, the people, the smile, the generosity of people, the kindness, well deep rooted in the cultures, and also very enterprising people, I would say, and loving people. And in a way, they do concentrate the brotherly atmosphere, the brotherly feeling is there among all the Mauritians, and especially since I assumed office as High Commissioner in Delhi, it was my earnest wish to come to Calcutta. And I met Mr. Khaitan twice, I think twice or thrice, and Mr. Khandelwal also. So I said this was my wish, a wish to come to Calcutta, which is a city which is often referred to as a city of joy, a land of Swami Vivekananda, from where he started his mission, but a land very famous for Rabindranath Tagore. And we have also named a secondary school, which is also not only a secondary school, but doing a lot of research on Tagore, his teachings, and the school is named as Rabindranath Tagore Secondary School in Mauritius. And 2 weeks ago, we had a statue from this part of the country, which was sent to Mauritius, and it's already placed in front of the Rabindranath Tagore Institute, which is just 1 kilometer from my residence. Yeah. So having said that, you know very well Mauritius and India. It is why Calcutta. There is a very famous song. I don't know the whole song, but one song which is very famous. And it all started in 1834, when for the first time, some 36 indentured laborers, they were in a way informed that once you go to a land, they were not aware, in fact, where they are going. That you are going to a land where by turning the rocks you will get gold. So this lured them to go to that. So a first batch landed in 1834. And today, these people, it was followed, of course, after our sugar plantation became, it was a monocrop at that time. Sugar was introduced by the Dutch, and after the Dutch killed all the dodos and they went, but the Indian people, Indian workers, they maintain it, and still now it became a very important pillar of our economy. So we depended a lot on sugar. Until 1975, after 1975, when the prices of, in fact, we had an agreement with the European Union for a fixed price, withstanding whatever the price in the world market, but we had a fixed price which was negotiated by the government during that time, and that helped a lot to boost up our economy. But we didn't stop there. We started diversifying from that. From a monocrop agriculture, we diversified into textile. Tourism became a very important pillar of our economy. And then after the tourism sector, we started manufacturing. We brought a lot of people from Hong Kong, and they set up, because they were given 10 years of duty-free, tax-free holiday, etc. They came and set up textile factories. So we started diversifying in that sector. But with time, we found that even textile sector will have a lot of competition, which in fact today, if you find, there are so many emerging countries, they have come up with textile. So we diversified into, after that we diversified into various other sectors. For example, we had the monocrop, we produced sugar, but then we converted the sugar into net, which is now very famous, is the sugar, refined sugar. And so we have mechanization, we have reduced, we have modernized our sugar factories. Some had to be closed, but 4 that remain, we fully mechanize it, and now we are producing very refined sugar, which is exported, and which is great in demand. We have only 2 countries producing that. One is Réunion Island. They are also very good. But the market is so high in European countries that we can't even afford to export it. But in the comprehensive agreement that has been signed between Mauritius and India, trade has boosted up. And you will find those cubes in some of the hotels, because we are trying to find, we are already, these cube sugar, refined sugar is being exported to Mauritius. So in this way, we started, diversifying, not taking a risk in one sector. Then after that, even our textile. Textile, we also started mechanization. It was rather in the beginning because of labor issues. We had to get people to job, because there was no job at that time. So that was the only way. And one of the leaders once said at that time, in 1980s, around 80s, there was so high unemployment. He said that in 2 years' time, there won't be any unemployment. And it happened. All the youngsters, the women, they got a job in the textile factories. But even after that, after textile, those generation who join in, now they are in the point of retirement. So we catered for them, providing incentive training, capacity building was done a lot in this sector. And the manufacturing side, it become capital intensive. we started introducing machines. So machines are doing all the jobs. And those who have retired is very difficult. That's why we had to have recourse to foreign labor. We have around 40,000 foreign labor working in this sector, manufacturing sector. But apart from this, we did stop here. Services sector became a very important pillar of our economy. And it occupies a very important sector. Fisheries became also one of the most important sector. And we started, there is still scope. And those who are in this sector from this part of the country, and I know Calcutta is well known for fisheries, there is still scope for investment. We are trying to develop an ocean economy, full-fledged, want to make it a very important pillar of our economy. It has already embarked, and with the help of assistance of various countries, we are trying to develop even this sector. Because, as I said, as Mr. Khaitan said, I was in Sri Lanka, so there has been a lot of illegal and unreported fishing in our area. Frankly speaking, I won't mention those countries. Even European countries are doing it. They come to our water shores, they fish, they catch all the fish. There is no, there is no control of it. But now we are trying to introduce to see that, these things are not done in our waters. So this is, of course, fisheries is also a very important sector, and we do export a lot of, tuna fish to various European countries. So fisheries sectors also became a very important pillar of the economy. Services also is very important. Now with the connectivity, you just find difficulty. We had the connectivity problem. That connectivity issue is also solved. We have airline, for example, India. We find a lot of way. You can travel through Dubai. You can travel through Delhi now. We have direct flights. We have direct flights even from Mumbai. So connectivity is not an issue. And in fact, we have also introduced one flight from Chennai. So we have a direct flight from Chennai. So what I'm just giving you a background of how Mauritius has evolved over the time. Now, financial sector, there is no need for me to expand on this. 3 months ago, I was at the Gift City. So I met the chairman and we discussed how we could collaborate with the Gift City and the International Financial Center in Mauritius. And within a short span of time, I arranged for an MOU to be signed between these two institutions. So instead of working in a competitive way, we're trying to see how we can share experiences between these Gift City and the recent visit of the President of India she was in fact the main guest of our National Day. So we signed one of those agreements, that is the MOU between the Gift City and the financial center in Mauritius. So even financial sector, I will not elaborate it. Mr. Khaitan already explained the investment that is coming from Mauritius. In fact, Mauritius was one of the biggest, was first on the list, but then after a few other countries came up, but still the amount, it is still there because of the trust, because it's a worthy, and because of, we have all the institutionalized legislative framework that help to protect the investors. We were, in fact, and luckily we were in FATF, but now we are at the level of OECD level, so there is no issue at all of money laundering, etc. Very clear jurisdiction, legislation is there, and you will be protected, in fact, if you choose that jurisdiction that is through our stock exchange or through your investment in. Now, just to give you a background of where we are. Now, coming back to the relations between Mauritius and India, we have such a bond of friendship. The chemistry between the two governments is there, it's visible. The various visits at the top level. The President was in Mauritius. The Prime Minister visited earlier. We had the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Sri Jaishankar ji, he was in Mauritius just after, when she went first, after election, he went to Sri Lanka, and after that, he was in Mauritius. And a lot of ministers from both sides visit this side also. We had visit from, in fact, the Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister was also a guest for the inauguration after the general election in India. So all this shows the strong friendship, strong bond of friendship. I think it is not just a relation that you say diplomatic relations between countries, but it is by blood. We always consider, that India, from where we come from, the link is there, the bond is there. So we try to maintain it, whether it is culturally, whether it is economically. And economically, we are very strong, As I said, we signed this comprehensive agreement that has boosted up our trade between India and Mauritius. You won't believe after the signature of this, there are around 700 articles you can export to Mauritius, and not aiming at Mauritius. We always, when we think of those exporters, when they think of trade between India and Mauritius, they think about 1.3 million population, which Mauritius has. But you must think of the whole chunk of Africa, which is around 500 million consumers. And it's such a, Mr. Khaitan rightly said, it's such a growing economy now. It used to be, earlier, people would say that Africa is just a begging bowl. And, when you see the Western media always depicting that it is a poor country, which it used to be. India has also faced these issues. But now, of course, with the economic growth in India, the mentality, the opinion has changed. In the same way, Africa is a very growing economy. By 2050, the population will double. 17% of the population, of the total world population, is in Africa. And it's such an emerging economy with the various mineral resources. Today, if you don't get that spare part that is needed for your mobile, you will have to stop using mobile. And it comes from the DRC and a few other countries. Without this, you can't use your mobile. It will all stop. So resources, if you visit, those who have visited Africa, you will see plenty of resources, plenty of minerals, which are unexploited. You go to a country, people say Zimbabwe, you feel that, after the British left, such a resourceful country. You feel sad to see that country. But now they are coming up. In spite of sanction that is there, but they are now coming up. Now, you just take East Africa countries, Eastern African countries, with which we trade a lot, and that represents only 500 million consumers. We have an agreement we form part of SADC countries, 14 SADC countries, and we have DTA, the Double Taxation Treaty, IPPA. Why? When I told Mr. Khaitan when he said that the next frontier is Africa, I said no. The frontier is Africa, yes, but it is through Mauritius. Because we have an agreement with all these 14 countries, like in SADC. We have, for example, if you're trading through Mauritius, you can export duty-free, quota-free to all these countries, to all the SADC countries. In the same way, we have 20 to 21 countries of COMESA. We form part of the COMESA group. We have recently ratified the Continental Free Trade Agreement with whole of Africa. It used to be only the SADC countries, 14 countries. Then we came to COMESA, but now Mauritius was among the first few countries that ratified the Continental Free Trade Area with the whole continent of Africa. So when we are talking of Africa, we are not talking of one country. We are talking of 54 major economies. And all countries now, you see Europe, they are struggling with 2%, 1% growth. But some of the African countries are coming up with 8%, 9%. So I would say, really, I do agree with Mr. Kaitan that Africa is the last frontier. So that's why I say many Indians, they feel, oh, it's a small market of 1.3 million population. But also we have 1.3 strong consumers, tourists who visit Mauritius. And they are high spending. Most of them come from European countries, from South Africa, the richest countries. And there are many who come also from, all Eastern African countries. Now we also have a flight from Russia. So the Russian tourists also come, they are high spending. So we are emerging even from India. We saw that, after various campaigns that we have done, road shows we have done in India, in various parts of India, even the tourists going from this side is also increasing. It's both ways. Even from Mauritius, there's a lot of Mauritians also coming to India. It has become a regular feature now. Every week we are receiving 50, 100 Mauritians who are visiting, especially the religious places. So I am trying to see that they are making a pilgrimage. Now most of them, they come, some go for pilgrimage for religious purposes, but also some are trying to find their roots. And some are lucky, they have been able to find the roots. As I said, the first batch left from Calcutta. And there is a very famous song, it's in Hindi, I think. Calcutta se chutal jahaj pamariya dheere chalo. So this song is still in the minds of those people. So
I had a relation of mine from there,
okay.
and they only knew French or this language. So it was a holy time. तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम लोग फगुआ खेलेंगे.
अच्छा.
फगुआ समझ में नहीं आया उसको बोलते.
Yeah.
सब वर्ड्स तो जो उस जमाने में 50 साल 60 साल पहले हम लोग जो बोलते थे तो वो सब चीज बताया. That is what I've said. There are a lot of things, but I don't want to disturb people. But it was very surprising. Either they knew French or only Bihari, old Bihari, which I don't understand.
I will just give you a few of the, when we're talking of Africa, the growing population, as I say, the population will double. And Africa, 40% of the world gold is found in the African continent. 30% of the world mineral is found in Africa. 60% of the world uncultivated land is found in Africa. A growing middle class. So when you realize, today in Africa, they may not have food, but they have the latest mobile technology in all their hands. So you see the emerging middle classes, that creates a lot of demands for goods, for services, and connectivity has also improved. So that's why I was talking about this continental free trade agreement. So you can, from India, you can make use of these agreement that is there from India, use Mauritius as a gateway towards Africa. And Mauritius, since 2013, set up the Africa Fund, Mauritius Africa Fund. And that was set up with a view to assist, to guide investors to invest in Africa. And the government, in fact, provided a lot of incentives to those who were keen to set up consortium in Africa. And the sectors that you can think of is enormous, innumerable sectors, starting from logistics, from transport, to infrastructure, to financial sector, to pharmaceutical. I'll come to pharmaceutical. After COVID, we had a big issue. And here we are very thankful to India, which provided the first batch of COVID-free, vaccines to Mauritius. And the first batch came, in fact, from India. So after COVID, we were finding we were in very much trouble how to source these vaccines. And the request was, became a political issue. All countries, in fact, face this difficulty of COVID. But then what we did, we were able, through our friendly relations, obtain a lot of vaccines. And then when we got those vaccines, we started delivering it to Africa. And you won't believe, out of goodwill, out of friendship to those African countries, we not only provided, we purchased, because at that time I was heading the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so I was fully involved. We were purchasing at very high price those COVID vaccines, but we gave to all the SADC countries free. Not only free vaccines, we supply to them, and we paid even the cost of freight. So this was a sharing, what we have learned, what we can share with African countries, we have been doing. On top of that, that's why we say the relations are so good even with African countries. We provide 50 scholarship to all the African countries. That is 2 per country. So now we are 54. We provide nearly 108 scholarship per year, fully funded by the government of Mauritius. So when I mention about Africa, Mauritius Africa Fund, so this was part of the scheme. It is not only, investment or investing or getting the resources from that country, getting the minerals, but we set up consortium. We have joint commission, we have, ventures, joint ventures, we have PVC where we can, work together, work out a consortium. Like I know many African countries, they provided land to us. They told us to develop that land. And this is where we were looking for investors from India, and some have come up. So they set up a consortium. I know in Mozambique, I know in Côte d'Ivoire, we have done a smart city with assistance, of course, with Indian investors. We team up together, and we got the Exim Bank and other banks, African Development Bank, which help us. So we went together and do such project in Africa. So, there's a lot of potential, as I said. Healthcare is also one of the issues in Africa. And we also, like pharmaceutical sector. So the idea crop up after post-COVID, when we realized the difficulty that we had for obtaining or sourcing the COVID, the government decided to make the pharmaceutical sector as a hub, an important hub in our economy. But we had some difficulties, but then we made a very technical study whether Mauritius could sustain such a pharmaceutical hub in Mauritius. And we gave this assignment to the European Union through their assistance, and they came up with a report, the full-fledged report, saying that Mauritius has got all the necessary infrastructure, the legislative framework, the legislation needed, and all the, in terms of legislation and all these, all there in place. And our government just gave a seed money to start this and set up a company. Of course, the government is just a facilitator in Mauritius. The government does not do business. We have the private sector. The government sector is just to facilitate, it's just a facilitator. So these are sectors that you can combine together. This is where my appeal to you all, and not only to the Bharat Chamber of Commerce, but all the chambers that we have here in Calcutta. And I know that Calcutta is a hub for businessmen. Calcutta is a hub where successful business started from here. If you have a chamber 105 years since it is set up, you have all the technical, the expertise, the know-how. So this is what I am appealing to all of you. You give a helping hand. We can work together. It will be a win-win situation for India as well as for Mauritius and the whole continent of Africa. Africa. So this is briefly, and there is also many other sectors, not necessarily on this financial sector, but tourism is also, hospitality is also one of the sectors where we can work together. Tourism, your government is spending a lot. We have a population of 1.3 million, but we have a population of 1.3 million tourists visiting the country. So we need, of course, the infrastructure. The hospitality sector is a booming sector. At times, during peak years, months, it's hardly to find a hotel room in Mauritius. So these are the sectors like logistics sector, infrastructure, pharmaceutical hub, and also the services sector. These are also these, and when I'm talking about these sectors, it's not necessarily in Mauritius, but I'm thinking in terms of the expansion that you can do through Mauritius, working in as a joint partner with Mauritian enterprise and go towards Africa. So educational hub, we have also made it an educational hub. But when we talk about this pharmaceutical sector, we also trying to make it a medical hub. Today, if I will tell you something about Africa, especially how Africans, they can afford to spend in the health sector, there are people who can take a flight, come alone to Mauritius, do the checkup, do the medical test, go for any surgery, and go back to Africa. So such type of scope are there. And there are many interests from India. I have met several hospitals. They are very keen to go. And I would also wish to those who are in this sector, pharmaceutical sector, and government provide all the incentives. We have set up, government has provided land. So it is not only the setting up of hospitals, but setting up of manufacturing thing. Like, you can set up all medical devices, and there is scope. From there, you can not only export to Africa, when you're not talking only of Africa, but you can export even to Europe. It's an open market because we have this DTA, we have free trade agreement with many countries. Even we have a free trade agreement with China. We have free trade agreement with Turkey. We have free trade agreement. European Union, you can send all your goods. If it is going through Mauritius, preferential market, preferential access to all the goods that you can send through Mauritius. So logistics sector is there, educational hub is there. We are setting up various institutions. Right now, many institutions of high repute from India, they are already set up. We have a medical school. I will give you a very good example of medical college in Mauritius. When initially we set up a medical college in Mauritius, the SSR Medical College, we were thinking of having only Mauritian students. It was earmarked for Mauritian students because we had difficulty. And during those days, some 20, 25 years, it was how difficult even for Indian students to get a medical or engineering seat in India. So we thought of having a medical college in Mauritius only for Mauritians. But today you find that mostly more than half of the students are from India. They are studying there because, you feel a homely type, you feel at home. You are away from your home, but it is your second home. This is how, even when an Indian go to Mauritius, this is how you feel. So it's very friendly community. You will be most welcome. And when you are ready to embark on such a journey for investment or for tourism purposes, we are ready to with open arms to receive you in Mauritius. We have the Economic Development Board, which is an agency responsible for advising you. And if there is a group going to Mauritius, we will plan the visit. We will identify the areas you are interested in, and we will try to connect with those people and find out, identify the countries or the energy sector. If you are in the energy sector, there is a big scope in African countries. We're trying to with climate change, fossil fuel and all this. So we also want to come up with a clean energy. So whatever you can think. I always think, in Mauritius, from a needle, if you want to produce, to an aeroplane, there is scope. You can set up your assembly plant, whether it is for motorcycle, bicycle, cars even buses. That also you can cater for African market. And there is scope for all these things. And the only way, because of political stability, because of the legislative framework that we have, it is a safe haven. You can invest your money. We have IPPA, we have DTA, which protects your investment. Even when you are exporting to any African countries, which is of course at preferential rate, quota-free, duty-free, but your investment, your return is guaranteed because the central bank is involved. So the opportunities are vast. You can say till the sky. You have just to think, decide, and embark on Mauritius, and we are ready to welcome you for whether for tourism purposes or for other destination for your investment. Rest assured, we are here to assist you, and any information that you need, any advice you need, we will connect you with the Economic Development Board of Mauritius. Thank you. But of course, I will come up if ever there is any other things you would like to know.
The most important, I think, the point which he made apart from that when you deal with Africa, you are insured. If you deal with Africa through Mauritius, you are totally insured. I mean, this was one of the most highlight of this talk, because how many countries in Africa is a very difficult country because of political situation. And this was a very important statement which he made, that Mauritius should be the gateway to invest in Africa. And I think, sir, you have enthused a lot of people here. I think the press is also here. Whatever you have said will be carried out in the newspapers in a very wide circulation, and people will have a chance to read your observations, because we have 60 people over here, but the press, a lot of people would be reading your statements and what you feel, that why we should do business in Africa and why should we not go to Mauritius and do business with Africa. I mean, it's a very, very welcome suggestion. Is there anything else? Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So, after this, may I request you all that if you have any questions, you may pose it to His Excellency in relation to whatever you have heard from him. So, I'll start from left. If anybody has any, please.
Sir, thank you very much for your, expressed the way you have expressed Mauritius to us, and we are enriched. I have a question, sir. What is the scope to develop a common platform, maybe as a forum for small and medium enterprises of Mauritius and West Bengal, where they can discuss, deliberate, and enter into joint venture?
Yeah. SMEs plays a very important role in Mauritius. Why it plays a very important role? Because, we wanted to give that status to women empowerment. And today we find that young girls, they are doing small things. Just they are dependent. They used to be dependent, but now they are self-dependent. They do the small business. And it's good that even in India you have these SMEs, and even SMEs contribute a lot to India, I know very well. And we have already set up a connection, a link between the SMEs in Mauritius as well as the SMEs group in Delhi, which is based in Delhi and other parts of of the country. But it's a good idea, it's a good suggestion. We will try to connect through the chambers or through the SMEs group if it is here. I will definitely get the information from yourself, and that will help a lot to establish these connections between these two countries. Rather, I would also mention when we are talking about SMEs, we have recently introduced the rupee, which is here, you can pay, here you can easily pay. So rupee is an interface, you can pay, you can bring, for example, if you are going to Mauritius, you can have your card, you can pay in Indian rupees there. And Mauritian who can come here, they can use that card and pay Indian currency. So that has facilitated a lot the SMEs. So this is one of the things that we have recently been launched. So that will help a lot, especially the SMEs. Now, the second, we are working on Vostro account, where the businessmen, now we are still the Reserve Bank of India and the Bank of Mauritius, it's already introduced, and we have some a few have already started, but they are working on the modalities, they are still working on the modalities, where you can, even big businessmen, they can make the payment through Vostro and use Indian currency or Mauritian currency from the other side. So that will, we are bringing all these things as a platform, we can say, so that SMEs, small businessmen, not only catering for the big businessmen, but for the small enterprises, they can also operate and they can work together. So also that, trade it expands between the two countries. I hope it
Yes,
is.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you,
We have
sir.
a very strong presence as far as MSME is concerned, so we will
Definitely.
be in touch with you as how to take it forward.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for joining us, Kolkata, and Bharat Chamber of Commerce. Two small observations which I wanted to propose. One, the air connectivity with the Kolkata. We have air connectivity. You must have heard that the entire world, the Gujaratis and Bengalis are fond of traveling. So a lot of tourists wanted to visit Mauritius. They need to go now via Delhi or Chennai. So one is the air connectivity. And second, of course, I will suggest my respected president to propose for a business delegation to the Mauritius, if needed be,
Yeah,
because we have a very vibrant chamber, and we can plan for the business delegation to the.
Mr. Khandelwal, I have already promised that to Mr. Dillam. I have already
Thank you
promised
very
that
much.
to Mr.
Thank you
Dillam.
very much.
Yes, very pertinent questions. In fact, without connectivity, there can't be people-to-people's contact. And we want, when I'm making an appeal to all of you to invest in Mauritius, it's not just gaining, obtaining financial, but we want that people-to-people connections. We want our people to meet. And if you don't have an economic base, what the use of going? Once or twice you will go to Mauritius, there are so many other destinations you can visit. But when you have a business interest in Mauritius, that would help a lot, to bring that interaction, people-to-people contact between Mauritius and India.
His Excellency, thank you so much to visit here, and we really appreciated what you explained about Mauritius, an African country, which is really a strong country for I just introduced myself. My name is Jagdish Gulati. I'm a president for Indian Leather Product Association. And there under me around 200 members, and we are Eastern region, we are exporting more than 6,000 crore of leather product and leather. So when I see about your African market, now at the moment we are doing export in USA, Canada, Europe. But situation with Europe, how things is down. So we were just discussing our thing to how to diversify different country. So now you given some direction to go to the Africa country, and we do African raw material we import. Lot of raw material we import, but what you suggest, it go via Mauritius, there is a chance to increase. So what kind of a support we are looking for? Because we have here, every year we do some exhibition, and people are visiting fair in the Europe and UK, USA. But Africa, nobody want to go. Only problem, he says ki it is a difficult market. So now if you make easy market there, India, that is especially eastern region. So eastern region covers 54% of the export of leather product in India. So that is a very big chance. And now the situation with Europe and USA. So African country, I believe, like a South Africa, we are doing export, but still they are struggling. So we need some platform and suggestion how we proceed to grab the market. This is one. Number two, like as now India has coming up lot of brand, launching own brand, our exporter, which they are opening the shops, showroom in India and also internationally like UK, France. So there is a, like as the Mauritius is a very touristic place. So our people may want to go there and open a showroom for their product, and we are tying up with a big designer in the international. So there, this is a second part which we can do. And third thing, like a kind of investment, like lot of people are doing joint venture with our product, brand joint venture, which can be moved through Mauritius, which is really help for our manufacturer. So this is three things I'm thinking. So how we can come together and jointly work together, sir? Any suggestions? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Very important question. You see, Mauritius, first of all, there is a lot of fairs that take place in Mauritius. Okay. Fairs. Okay. The industrial fair, the Indian fair festival, especially now, there is one fair which will take place in October, I think, end of October, where around 50 entrepreneurs from SMEs rather would be going to Mauritius to expose the product, and then after the exhibition, these are put in the local market. And during these fairs, you have a lot of African SMEs come to visit these fairs. So the solution is already here. Now the second.
But it's not, we don't know about this fair. It has to be little circulate.
I think, yes.
So people should be gear up to participate there.
Yeah.
So to get this African market,
I will try to make sure that the fair that is taking place, the exhibition taking place, will try to communicate.
that you communicate with the Bharat Chamber.
Yeah,
They are the best solution to distribute, and so I can distribute with my own manufacturer. And because people go just like today in the Germany fair, 3 fair is there. People are just running away because they know. So I want there to do something on that.
They used to go to Europe because that was the market at the time.
Yeah.
But now you yourself said Europe is dwindling. So identifying new market is Africa.
Correct.
And in our country, the government provides such incentives. For example, the EDB, at times they go on roadshow to African countries. You have also the SMEs, they also go to in these fairs, exhibitions in African countries.
Okay.
And at times when we have these exhibitions in Mauritius, we have a lot of African countries, they come to Mauritius and they order through these exhibitions.
That's good.
This is one. Now our government provides up to, I think, 50% of the cost of participation in African countries.
In African
In African countries. So those who are SMEs, they want to go and take part in exhibition, they are provided with the cost of airfare, the rebate, and also they are also provided with a certain incentive amount so that they can pay for the stand, the logistic support that is required for them to expose their the product. And this is how SMEs has come up very strongly. They have a very strong base. They go, they meet people, and these fairs are very helpful. So I think the best way is whenever there is such fairs, exhibitions taking place, I think you can come, you can take part in it and bring your product. You can bring the product for 1 week or 2 weeks, it is in exhibition, but then you can sell it in the local market.
Yeah,
So nothing goes waste. You see, nothing goes waste.
But you have to circulate ki what fare, because we don't know much about it.
But most of it, it is not by government, it is organized by private sector. Private, like the Chamber of Commerce. So I will try to connect, and it's very important that the Chamber of Commerce here, like, the Bharat Chamber of Commerce or any other Chamber of Commerce that is there, we will try to sign an MOU between the Chamber of Commerce in Mauritius as well as the Chamber of Commerce here. So that will facilitate a lot, especially in these trade matters.
So we would be,
Thank you very much, sir.
we would
Thank
be
you.
very glad to do that. We'll be very glad to visit Mauritius and have since we have an Africa desk here, so it will be more suitable for us to have a cooperation treaty between two Chamber of Commerce. But taking a cue from Mr. Gulati, I think you said that you import raw materials from Africa, right? So if you heard His Excellency rightly, he said that, if you export from Mauritius, your price realization is ensured. So if you set up, your price realization is ensured. Plus, as you said, that the taxation relief which you get in Mauritius, because the tax is very low in Mauritius. So if you set up, instead of importing a raw material and manufacturing and exporting, you can set up you have an idea of setting up a plant in Mauritius. So you can export the raw material and export to African countries, which will be or even to Europe, and it will benefit you because the raw material will come. And as far as the income is concerned, as I told you, that their fiscal policy is totally pro business. I mean, their taxation is, it was a free of capital gain. The new policy which they have, which has not yet been ratified, the lowest rate of taxation is from 5 to 15%. So in some areas it will be 5, some areas it will be 10, some areas it will be ratified. So your tax law will be very, very remunerative. So therefore, there is much better scope for the leather industry, which is the most prominent industry in West Bengal, to involve themselves with Mauritius in a very, very large manner because.
There is a raw material, I told you, but this is a raw hide, like especially for the tannery they import, because a lot of South African country has a manufacturing. So we don't import finish, we import raw heads. So that tanning done in India. Like,
so you can do that in Mauritius. That's what I'm
that
trying
is
to
a polluted thing. That can be possibilities there. Yeah, I can propose. I can propose this thing to do there, and then you produce there. That can be done better.
No,
Yeah.
We were talking about free trade agreement. We have free trade agreement with China, even with China.
China.
With China. So you can not necessarily export only to European countries, but if you find a market in China, you can export to China.
Yeah.
We have a market also to free trade agreement with Turkey. And now, when I was in Colombo, we also discussed about free trade agreement with, because a lot can be done, Sri Lanka, India, Mauritius. So I proposed to them this free trade agreement with.
Yeah, that's very
The
good.
most important, which I didn't mention till now, is AGWA.
What?
AGWA. African Growth. That is an agreement signed between Mauritius, not Mauritius, but African countries with US.
Okay.
And till now, we export to AGWA. Through this agreement, through AGWA, we can export to duty-free, quota-free to US, a big market.
Very big
and what you are saying, this product can all easily fit in.
Correct. Yeah.
And till now, we have not been able to honor our commitment.
That's good.
The possibility that it opens and the AGWA, we have not been able to honor our commitment to the US.
So, taking a cue from that, I think, Keka, we are very strong in hosiery and textile. What His Excellency is trying to say, that, you have that quota in USA, because the quota system is there from India, that this is your quota. If you go to Mauritius, which is very strong in textile, and we set up our plant there, and then because of their free trade agreement with, like you said, with so many countries, and the main cooperation agreement with the African countries. You know, the exports can take place to many countries to a free trade. I think basically what we need to do, Keka, that we have to do work on this Africa desk. I mean, we have a very strong interaction with their office and find out what are things which we can do so that we can do more and more business with Mauritius, and through Mauritius we can start acting through Africa and other part of the world. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this information. Yes, please.
Interaction today. My just curiosity is where you are inviting all the investors, what are your country's rules for foreign investment in regards to land holding and property holding?
They are very clear-cut legislation are there. But now, as an Indian, as a foreigner, you can buy property. But not the ground level, but any flat you can purchase.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Any flat, not the ground floor, but up till this you can invest any amount.
You can't buy land, you can buy a constructed property on that land.
Okay, so the construction has to be done locally.
Yes, but the property, if you have the property, if for example you want to have a property there, you can through if you have a business also, because government also provide, like I mentioned about pharmaceutical, I mentioned about agriculture processing plant. If you want to set up for agriculture, the duty free the duty free is up to tax free. Tax free is 8 years. The government is giving for any agro processing. So last week I saw a few Indians. They have embarked on this, and they have been provided land. The government land.
So what are the conditions of this providing government land?
No, there are some
one more
regulations you have to.
No, is it a term,
Yeah, it
few
can
years,
be
what we call a lease year? You do
lease,
that?
yeah, it can be 80 years, 20 years, renewable, like.
Okay, so foreign investors are mainly land will be on lease and property.
No, you can buy. You can, if you are setting up a plant, you can purchase your own land and then start a business.
So my
But
second,
but there are certain sectors where government, where, for example, I mentioned about pharmaceutical. These are sectors where the government are very keen to push for this sector. So government is trying to see to provide land. Now, if you want to invest in agriculture, so that is also possible, can be provided some land to develop the land. But in the beginning, I mentioned about, Africa. Africa has provided so many hectares of land to Mauritius. We need to set up a consortium from here and go and invest in those agricultural land. We have land provided by Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Madagascar, we have Senegal, and we have Ghana, I mentioned. So these are some of the countries, they have already provided land. Mozambique, yeah. So plenty of land. If you want to invest, you want to go in agro processing, you can go even in Africa, but you can also set up your plant in Mauritius. And you, of course, you are provided with a lot of incentive with regard to land, with regard to, for example, if you want to set up a plant, you mentioned about the product that you want to, you can bring the machinery duty free. You can bring some of the labors, technical labors you need along with your plant. So you have technical people, and of course, if it is a big company, you can also be given, like 2 or 3, depending on the need, the urgency, they can get easily work permit to stay there to operate your factory or your.
Okay, sir.
you have sufficient land allocated for industry purpose.
Yes. Well,
Okay, so the last question was there's a book launch. So we'll have, because he has to meet the press also. Last question, please.
Sir, what infrastructure development are needed in Mauritius to support the growth of its manufacturing sector? And how can India assist in these infrastructure projects?
Yes, India is helping a lot. India has been, you would say, if I mention, right now we have 100 companies already operating in Mauritius, Indian companies I mentioned, whether it is in educational sector, and with the assistance of India, it's not only infrastructure project, we just had the metro being introduced first in Africa. And I'm not sure whether Mr. Kaitan was able to go through the metro. And expansion is still there. We have already done third phases. Now we have 2 more phases, which is, now we are having a general election, but after general election, of course, the 2 other phases will launch. So the government has a plan to connect the whole island through metro. This is one of the biggest. We have a hospital which has just been inaugurated with the assistance of India. We have educational institute like the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, which is already operating. We will embark on a cancer hospital, which India is also. The Ayush system of medicine being introduced with the assistance of the government of India. So you have a lot of institutions already operating. That's why you say when you are in Mauritius, you feel it is your second home. Because when you go throughout, you will see the metro, which is India. You have the Bank of Baroda operating. We have so many other banks, which though they may not have branches, but they have. And we have also the State Bank of Mauritius operating in India, facilitating the payment, or any sort of transaction that can be done. You have the Reserve Bank working in close collaboration with the Bank of Mauritius to see, like Vostro, like Rupiah, all these things are coming up. And so many other things that are coming up within India. Now, IT is a sector which is a booming sector, together with, communication, IT, these are for part of infrastructural development. So, a lot of investment opportunities are in this sector, with especially energy sector, the ITC sector. These are sectors which are innovative sectors, and we have plenty of sun. So we are trying to see, how recourse to solar energy. So this is also a sector. And recently, a year ago, with one consortium, they invested in Rwanda in the energy sector. So something like this could be brought to various other African countries. So you see, so a lot of Indian investment is there. You can see in a lot of infrastructural work, the road work, the bridges, metro, all these with assistance, technical assistance of the government in India. And like I say, the hospitals also. ITC sector is also one of the sectors which is being developed by India with assistance of many other countries. Telecommunication is also a booming sector, and we are looking for investors from India to further develop it. And not only develop it, but take it as a model towards Africa and adapt it to all the African countries, the whole continent. So you have 54 countries you can go through, doing all these innovatives, especially investment in innovatives.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, lastly, the vote of thanks by Mr. Tisha.
We have mementos. I would request you to present the mementos to His Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a huge round of applause? We have one more, Goddess Durga, Goddess of Power. Thank you, sir. May I now request our Senior Vice President, Mr. Naresh Pachesia, to propose the vote of thanks and close today's special session.
His Excellency Mr. Dillum, members of the Chamber, guests and friends. At the end of this special session on India-Mauritius trade and investments, current and future perspectives, it's my pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to His Excellency Mr. Hemandoyal Dillum, High Commissioner of Mauritius to India. Thank you, Your Excellency, for sparing some of your valuable time to visit Kolkata and addressing the members of our chamber. As both nations, India and Mauritius, continue to build on their shared values and mutual interests, I am confident that in the years to come, the partnership between India and Mauritius will further deepen, facilitating greater collaboration and unlocking new opportunities for mutual prosperity and development. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the business opportunities in Mauritius and in Africa through Mauritius and the way to go about it. We certainly are very encouraged and from your remarks about exploring the possibility of signing an MOU with the Chamber of Commerce there, which we would be very proactively wanting to do and pursue with your office, and of course consider taking a delegation to Mauritius for exploring business opportunities in Mauritius and Africa. I must thank members of committee and members of the chamber for making it convenient to attend today's special session. I wish to also thank Mr. Rajendra Khandelwal, member of the committee, for his support. My thanks are also due to the representatives of the media for their presence at the session. With these words, I would request all of you to join me in carrying a very hearty vote of thanks to our guest-in-chief, Mr. Dillum, High Commissioner of Mauritius to India, with appreciative acclamation.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us for high tea.